So this is a continuation of the video for sites, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the big, small, and relative big sites for a type of map. So what we're going to want to do is so other topologies. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to fix a type of map. So we're going to fix a type of map, tau. And so this could be like, so the things that we should keep in mind are smooth, flat, so there's étale. They could be other things. So there's other things which I'll talk about later, FPPF or FPQC. These are essentially flat and finite presentation. This one you have to do a little bit for quasi-compactness. Okay, it doesn't really matter. There's a bunch of other things, and the important property is that these need to be behave well under. So they need to be good under two things: base change, and they'll have to be good under composition. Okay, so this is what we should think about. Think about maybe étale things, be things, or smooth things. Okay, so let me give a definition now. So let X be a scheme. So then a tau covering of X will be a collection of maps. So xi, we'll call this fi to x for I and I, such that two things hold. Okay, the first thing that needs to be hold is that, so now where I'm going to do this, I'll do 1 here and I'll do 2 here. Okay, the first thing that needs to hold is that for all I and I, fi is tau. So if it were étale, these would all need to be étale maps. So yeah, that's kind of self-explanatory. And then the other thing that you need to have is that you need to have these things actually cover. So they need to be of tau type and they need to cover. And that's what a tau covering is. Okay, so now that we know what a tau covering is, I can define what a small tau site is. So maybe this, I'll call this an example, because not all sites are of this form where you fix a type of map, but a small, okay, so let's actually do this. So this will be the small tau site of X. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to fix X scheme, okay, and then the small tau site, and we're gonna use some notation here. So this is the small tau site. Okay, so this is a category. I'm also denoting the entire site by the same thing, and then this is the growth and G-topology. So the category. Okay, so I need to describe what the category is. So the objects, so to describe a category, you need objects and you need morphisms. And now this is where it differs. So before we had open immersion. So if tau was an open immersion, this would be the same definition. But say we could have something like an étale map. The objects are going to be étale maps to X. So this could be a tau map. Okay, and then a morphism will be this thing where you have maps between them here. So this is a morphism here. So this is a tau maps, and this is a tau map. Okay, so we have the objects and we have the morphism, and now to give this the growth and G-topology, I need to tell you what this tau thing is. So I have to tell you when we have to fix an object in the category, a tau map. Then the tau covering, a tau covering so I guess the tau of y is the collections of tau coverings of y. Okay, so if we had a tall map here, then we'd look at all the tall maps to y, and that would be the tau covering. Okay, so that's it. That's all you do, is you just take these maps, and then you take the coverings like we did before. Okay, so how do we check again? So how do you check that? So how do we check that this is a site? Okay, so you go to the axioms, right? You have the trivial axiom, so the trivial covers a cover. You have the base change property, and then you have the composition. Okay, and for the things I stated, that's what you do. Okay, so for example, let's say tau is going to be a tall. Okay, so then so there's kind of two things. So the identity thing is tall, but there's two things we have to check. So if y to x is a tall, and y prime to, or let's call this let's say z to x is a tall, then I can base change this entire map by z. Okay, then this will tell us that this let's say yz to xz. So this is the fiber product of fz is a tall, because the tall behaves well under base change. Okay, and then the other thing that you need to check is that composition of a tall maps are a tall. So we could take something like this. We could take f, we could take g, and if this is a tall and this is a tall, then this implies that this composition here of g composed with f, this thing's a tall. Okay, and so this is the composition property, and this is it. This is the base change property, and so these two things together will tell us that the definition that we gave here of the small tau site of x, when we take tau to be the atoll maps, is actually will make a genuine site. Okay, just like in the case for the Zariski site, we can make big sites as well. So, example. And so this is going to be the big, so let's say the big tau site of the category of schemes. Okay? So here we'll take the category. So, okay, what am I doing? I'm doing schemes with the tau topology here. And so we'll have schemes, and then we'll have this tau thing. The category is just the entire category of schemes. And the growth and deep topology, so this is kind of getting redundant right now. I'm thinking that this is kind of redundant. But if we fix for a scheme, then so then the tau of x will be the collection of tau covers of x. Okay, so I kind of said this. It's pretty self-explanatory. And I want to tell you how to get the relativized sites in general. So to do that, I need a definition. So here's a definition. Tau be a site. So this is a category. This is the growth and deep topology. We're going to take an element, an object of the category. And what we're going to do is we're going to define this kind of relativized topology here. So this is the relativized site. So in the Stacks project, they call this the localization of a category. But we already used localization, so I'm going to do this. I think this might be non-standard. But let me just say what this is. The category. Okay, So this is the category S over U is the usual over category. Okay, so I think I wrote it down already. So it's like this, you know, you have these, and then you have these. Okay, but it doesn't necessarily need to be well, they need just be a morphism in there. And then the growth and topology is going to be the same. So we for let's see, for S in we have that tau. So this is just going to be the same thing. So we just take this and we kind of restrict it to this category. Okay, so now that we have this notion of a relativized site. Now I can define the big tau site of a scheme. So example, the big tau site of a scheme. Okay, so we fix again a scheme. We fix some tau. Okay, and it needs to behave well under base changing composition. And then the scheme, this thing here is going to be, well, schemes, this category in tau. And so this is just going to be, this is the big tau site of X. And I guess we should say that this thing here is, by definition, we define it to be equal to okay, so this is in the notation of the previous thing, and so this is just the relativized thing, and it site. Okay, and like all big sites, again, we have to fix some cardinality and deal with this type of thing. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video, and then I'm going to talk about the different choices of tau that we can make and how they play with each other.